what are we cooking today? Or better yet, what's for lunch? For those of you who don't know me yet, I'm Nadia Freeney-Becker, and this is Nadia Cooks. Today in our show, we're talking to Alice Harrison and Geraldine Fermin. Did I say your last name correctly?
Correct.
Great. They are from City Harvest. They represent the best into what is helping each other, especially at this time. But when it comes to food, that's one of the most basic needs. So ladies, I would let you introduce yourselves. I can, of course, I said your names, but you will tell me more about you. Geraldine, Alice, whoever wants to start, go ahead.
I have to let Geraldine take it away for this.
Geraldine, pick it up.
Hi, my name is Geraldine Fermin, and I'm a nutrition and culinary education manager for City Harvest. I've been working for City Harvest a little over the past 3 years. And prior to that, I used to work in the New York City public school system as a school food service manager.
That's great. That's great. We're going to touch that later. So Geraldine, tell us more than your departures and your arrivals. You came from Venezuela, and did you go straight into working for the city? No.
No.
Okay.
I actually attended high school and college here.
Okay.
And then I started working. I did many jobs, catering. Mm-hmm. I worked in hotels, but then I started working for school food. I worked there for about 9 years. Mm-hmm. And then I moved on to City Harvest, and I've been happily ever after for the past 3.5 years.
Good. But Geraldine, so they have many things in common, right? You just kept on teaching. You left the school system sort of, but you're still at City Harvest. You guys have a program that will help parents and kids learn more about food and nutrition. Can you tell us more about it?
So our nutrition and culinary education program not only does parents and children, we also had a senior program at a point. We have classes for parents and kids, or for parents alone, or for children alone, or just for the general public in community centers.
Good. So that's what I was going to ask next. Where are you? You usually work in schools and in community centers, and you have the mobile markets, correct?
We do.
Okay. Can you tell us more? So I know there's 9 mobile markets.
There's 9 mobile markets. There's 2 in the Bronx, St. Mary's and Melrose, 2 in Manhattan, Prince Hall and Dyckman, 1 in Brooklyn and Bed-Stuy, 2 in Queens, Queensbridge and Astoria. Okay. And then we have 2 in Staten Island. We have Mariners Harbor and Stapleton.
Okay. And are they close to the schools by chance, or the community centers?
Yeah, a lot of our markets are close to schools and community centers.
How does the program at City Harvest work? If people are in need right now, for example, they go into the New York City website to find locations for their food centers, right? Anything else they need to know? Do they have to register with the charity? How does it work?
Well, eventually we want people to register for our mobile markets. Mm-hmm. But at this point, because of COVID, we're not handling registrations so we could keep the social distance. And anyone could come to one of our markets as long as they find out the date. We're at each market twice a month. Okay. So as long as they're there for that day, we will serve them.
And what are your hours?
So the mobile market usual hours were about 9:30 to 11:30, but because of COVID, we have been starting a little bit earlier. Okay. So mostly around 8:30, 9 to noon, so that way we're able to keep the social distance and avoid the overcrowding at the line.
Of course. And then people will find produce and staple foods, non-perishables, right? Correct, like rice, beans.
Correct. And some of the canned meat as well.
Okay, good. And flour, maybe, if there's availability?
We have had some cornbread mix and pancake mix for people to make this kind of pastries at home.
Yes. Well, it's some sort of, if you think about it, it's breakfast somehow, right? And if you think that so many kids depend on food in school, if the parents have the opportunity, or the grandparents or somebody in the family, to go to those markets, so you don't depend on the school being open and the school providing food for you, even though I believe some of the schools were opening just for distributing the food, correct?
That is correct. So they will open to distribute breakfast and lunch.
And then people can complement their nutrition at the end of the day with, if they go early to the markets, but then they have something to eat for dinner or supper or snacks or something, so you're not completely hungry throughout the day.
Yeah, exactly. And we also work with an organization called Brighter Bites, which also distributes produce at school. So it's similar to our mobile market model. And we were giving out paperwork or flyers to go with the boxes, so people, could still get some sort of nutrition education, even if it's just printed.
And did we have some sort of, we were talking about this before, how technology helped, but were people able to use technology and attend some sort of education programs?
Yes, we have a few classes online at the moment when people can participate. A lot of the the people that are participating were people that were registered for prior classes before. And the only thing that you don't get with that experience is actually sitting down at the end and having a family meal. But you could do a virtual family meal.
Yes. And I have to say, sometimes it's nice to see other people's smiles, even though we're not together, we're not near each other, with the other families. But once you complete a class, at the end of the class, you see all the little faces in the Zoom meetings, everyone smiling. So I think that's rewarding. Now, the next question would be, how can then people, so you have the mission of helping, and it's rewarding at the end of the day, because you have all of the markets and the people come and they will pick up their food and they will have food at the end of the day at their tables, and they will have one less worry. Let's put it this way. So how can somebody that doesn't have the need to go to the market because they have food at home, how can they embody the mission, and how can they become part of City Harvest?
People could also become part of City Harvest by volunteering.
Okay.
That it's one great way to give back, to see how things are developing around the city, to help with the need. And for a lot of people that have been coming to our markets to volunteer, people that are working from home, it's actually a mental break from working from home. We are following the security protocols for social distancing. The distribution of food is contactless, so the food is placed on the table for the participants to take it. And I think that's a great way of people to kind of give back to the community.
And also, like I said, it's a break, of course, and you also are put into a perspective that somebody is probably not in the same condition as you are. So you start rethinking your life twice.
Definitely. This brings so much gratitude to our lives. Even for me, when I see the people that are struggling, I'm very thankful that I still have a job with so many people losing their jobs during this pandemic, and that I have a family and I have a roof over my head, and I have not only the food on the table every day, but actually the food that I want. So having your food of choice is a big thing as well.
Yes. And then before we were talking, I was thinking, if you have the roof over your head, if you have clean clothes, if you have food on your table, you technically do much better than the others. So how's that experience of helping those in need? Do you also feel that you have the same gratitude?
A lot of people do. I think that almost everyone is very grateful, unless they have some sort of dietary restriction. Everything that we give out in the markets could be made in a really healthy way. We could have whole hearty meals. And if your only meal is whatever you're getting from us, you'll definitely appreciate that a lot more.
So Geraldine, you were talking about the dietary restrictions. Sometimes people have intolerances and allergies, right? Forget about the peanut, but most gluten, because if you think many staples are made with wheat flour. And we were talking about the hallacas. And hallacas are gluten-free. So any other examples of foods that you can teach folks to exchange to get the gluten out, right, if they are allergic, and replace with something else?
I mean, there are so many things. We can make stuff with potatoes. As you know, I come from Venezuela, and arepas is also gluten-free. And they're like our kind of sandwich. I mean, we put anything and everything in our arepas. And I mean, nowadays you have so many good gluten-free options like brown rice pasta. Grains are also a great way to nourish your body. I mean, you can make a good hummus or simply a good bean soup or stew. I think that there's so many ways that you could avoid. Grits are good too. Gluten-free oatmeal as well. It's also good to have. I usually make cookies from gluten-free oatmeal and mashed banana, and I just put chocolate chips and raisins, and they're amazing.
No, it reminded me. So in Brazil, we have this thing called pão de queijo, which is a very similar to pan de bono, right? So it's gluten-free. It's made out of yuca starch, just like the arepas. Like cheese bread, we call it cheese bread. So cheese bread started being cheese bread, but then we made it bigger, and then we made it into sandwiches, because these days so many people have intolerance to gluten, right? So you're substituting. And then you also have the same flour, but what it's called sweet then, and then you make cookies. So you make gluten-free cookies with the yuca. It's not a yuca flour. It's there is a name in English. It's
like a meal.
Yes. And then, we have all of those options too. But can people find any of those substitutes in the market, in distribution centers?
I think it will be rare to find it in mobile market, but certainly in pantries, because those kind of items we get a smaller amount of. Okay. So usually we will send them to agencies to be distributed at agencies.
So at least there's that option.
Yeah, and a list of pantries is available in our website also for people to attend those pantries when the markets are not in session.
Yeah, so how do you expect the markets to happen in the next Golden month? Do you have plans already?
We already do markets in the winter. Okay. It's a little bit challenging, and people do come in waves of different hours. And we will continue to distribute during the winter. That has always been something that we do. Usually when I used to do demos, we only did them up to December because January and February are a little bit rough during the winter and people don't hang around and it's very hard to keep the food warm and stuff like that. But definitely we will have our markets and we will still maintain social distance. So people are always welcome to come to our markets twice a month in all 5 neighborhoods.
That's great. Geraldine, since we're getting close to the end of the time, and Alice, you're there too, you can share, what is your favorite dish to make and to teach when you have the demonstrations, for example?
I love making sweet potato hash browns. People underestimate sweet potatoes. They're good. They're low in glycemic, which is very good for people that are diabetic. And I have been told by people that they only buy sweet potatoes during the holidays.
Why?
And they're available throughout the year and they're actually very affordable. And there's so many things that you can make with them. You can make soups, you can make the hash browns, you could make them into sweet potato fries. I mean, I think they're a great, great, great dish.
Yeah. Well, trust me, I love it. So this year we planted in the winter still, in March still, I planted potatoes, not sweet potatoes. And I'll explain why, because sweet potatoes, they need more space to grow. They're just like the vine. But you can buy a potato, cut it and plant it in your own home inside a pot because it will stay warm. And it just be patient because it takes good 3 to 4 months for it to grow. It's the only downside to it is you need time, right? And maybe it's just like everything that's good that we make. We need time to make those things. But Geraldine, to your point, yes, sweet potatoes, you just struck me. We eat sweet potatoes all year long. We'll make sweet potato fries. I make even chocolate chip cookies with sweet potatoes.
Oh, that sounds amazing. I mean, you could put them in smoothies and everything. I like mashed sweet potatoes as well. And I usually, when I make the sweet potato hash browns or even the mash, I will put some yogurt with it to make it creamy. Non-fat yogurt, put some parsley or chop some onions and parsley or garlic, and they're so flavorful. So they're kind of a sweet, savory dish.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Okay. And anything Venezuelan that you love making?
Well, I make arepas all the time. And I try to make them a little bit healthier by grinding oatmeal. And I put some chia seeds. And I mean, I stuff them with all sorts of things. But one of my favorite things, the arepa is called reina pepiada. And we usually mash an avocado and put some mayonnaise with it and make like a chicken avocado salad. But to make it a little healthier, I usually use yogurt rather than
mayo.
But the avocado, I mean, nowadays everyone loves avocado. There's a big trend. So that avocado salad inside an arepa, it's a dream in the morning.
It's delicious. I like arepas Pabellon, okay, but I don't know, it's just because I think I love everything meat. It's delicious. It's delicious.
Arepa de Pabellon is delicious. And the empanadas of Pabellon are way, way, way more like amazing. For me, they're just fried, which is not good, but I love them.
So I deep fry things only once a year in my house. Okay, so then we have the excuse. So it's really fun. I say only once a year, but then it's when I make everything deep fried.
Yeah, well, my grandma brought me an empanada toaster. So it's like one of those sandwich toasters, but it's shaped in an empanada way. And they're actually very crispy. So they're pretty good. Good
options. I love it. So ladies, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here. Before we go, you have to do something that everyone does on the show. You have to give us your weekly menu. What you have cooked for the past 7 days, if you remember.
Oh, wow. Well, yesterday I made some grilled salmon and I made a potato and egg salad. I warmed up some tamales.
Okay.
And I've been eating out a lot this past week because it's hard for me to cook because I was injured. But I have made a couple of things this past few days. And today I'm planning on making shrimp and grits with fried green tomatoes. So I'm doing a southern thing.
Hey! Yeah, that's good. That's good. It's not going to require much from your hand. So you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine.
I have some pre-shopped stuff.
It helps a lot. So
Definitely.
Again, thank you so much. Oh, before we go, cityharvest.org, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And in there, people can sign up for programs and for anything that they need. They can check locations, dates, times, and how things will work in the winter too.
Definitely.
Great. So thank you so much again for your time. I appreciate it. Everyone, we had Geraldine and Alice from City Harvest with us. It was a pleasure having you ladies.